Alien warriors laughed at human legends, then saw the truth. Part 1. The massive alien ship hung in space like a sharp black knife. It was 10 times bigger than the human ship Explorer. Captain John Carter stood on the bridge and looked at the screen. His hands were tight at his sides. He had been in space for 15 years, but he had never seen aliens like these. "They're calling us again, sir," said Lisa Green from her station. Her voice was steady, but her eyes showed worry. John nodded. "Put them on screen." The alien that appeared had a hard outer shell instead of skin. It had 4 arms and a head with 6 eyes that glowed yellow. Its mouth parts moved in strange ways when it spoke. "Human ship," the alien said, its voice deep and rough through the translator. "I am War Chief Grutak of the Vorax Empire. You are in our space now." John stepped forward. "I am Captain John Carter of Earthship Explorer. We come in peace to learn about your people." The alien made a sound like rocks hitting metal. The translator said it was laughter. "Peace? Humans always talk about peace. We have watched your world for many years. We know your kind." John was surprised. "You've been watching Earth?" "Yes," said Grutak. "We have studied your history, your wars, your stories. You are a weak species that tells big lies." "What do you mean by lies?" John asked. Grutak's eyes seemed to glow brighter. "Your legends. Your stories of heroes who could do impossible things. Humans who could lift mountains or run faster than light or live forever. These are lies to hide how weak you really are." The bridge was quiet. No one spoke for a moment. "Those are just stories," John said carefully. "They show what we wish we could do, not what we claim to do." "Then you admit your weakness," Grutak said. "Good. The truth is better than lies." John felt anger rising but kept his voice calm. "Stories aren't lies. They help us aim higher. Try harder." Grutak made the rock metal laugh again. "Aim as high as you want, human. The facts remain. Your bodies break easily. You live short lives. You need machines to survive in space. These are facts," Lisa whispered from her station. "Sir, their weapons are active." John nodded slightly to show he heard her. He needed to be careful now. "War Chief Grutak, we didn't come to argue about stories. We came to learn and share knowledge." "There is only one knowledge worth sharing," Grutak said. "The knowledge of strength. My warriors have been curious about humans since we found your broadcasts. They wonder how such a soft species survived so long." John didn't like where this was going. "What are you suggesting?" "A test," Grutak said. "You will send 5 of your crew to our ship. They will face 5 of my warriors in tests of strength and skill. Then we will see the truth about humans." The other officers on the bridge looked at John with wide eyes. This was not how first contact was supposed to go. "And if we refuse?" John asked. "Then you prove your weakness, and weak things have no place in Vorax space. You will leave at once and never return." The screen went black. Grutak had ended the call. "Options?" John asked his team. Commander Sam Baker, his second in command, spoke first. "We could try to run, sir. The engines can't outrun them, but we might reach the jump point if we go now." "And give up the mission?" "Earth has been looking for alien contact for 100 years. John shook his head. "No, running isn't an option." Chief Engineer Maria Diaz spoke up. "We could fight, but their ship is much bigger and probably has better weapons." "Fighting isn't an option either," John said firmly. "We didn't come all this way to start a war." Lisa looked up from her screen. "Sir, they're scanning our ship. They're looking at everything, our systems, our crew files, even our databanks." John thought for a moment. "Let them look. Maybe understanding us better will help." "What about their challenge?" Sam asked. "We can't send our people over there to be hurt or killed." John walked to the window and looked at the alien ship. It was dark against the stars, threatening but also amazing. The first alien species humans had ever met in person, and they thought humans were weak liars. "I'll go," John said at last. "Sir." "No," several voices said at once. John turned to face his crew. "I'll go. and I'll pick 4 volunteers. The Voraks think our legends are lies because they only see the physical side. They don't understand what humans are really good at. And what's that, sir? Sam asked. John smiled slightly. Adapting, solving problems, working together. Things they might not value if they only respect physical strength. He walked to his chair and pressed the ship-wide comm button. This is Captain Carter. We've made contact with an alien species called the Voraks. They've challenged us to send 5 crew members to compete in tests against their warriors. This is dangerous, but it's also historic. I'm going, and I need 4 volunteers. Think carefully before you step forward. This isn't about being the strongest or fastest. It's about showing who humans really are. He ended the message and looked at his bridge crew. Start scanning their ship. I want to know everything we can learn before we go over there. Maria, check our equipment. Whatever these tests are, we'll need every advantage. Yes, sir, Maria said, moving toward the door. Lisa, keep watching their scans, see what they're most interested in. That might tell us what they value. Lisa nodded and turned back to her station. Sam, you're in command while I'm gone. If something goes wrong, your first duty is to the ship and crew, not to me. Understand? Sam didn't look happy, but he nodded. Understood, sir. John looked back at the alien ship on the screen. The Voraks thought human legends were lies. They laughed at stories of human heroes. Soon they would learn that the spirit behind those legends was very real. Within an hour, over 50 crew members had volunteered. John would have to choose carefully. The future of human-alien relations might depend on what happened next. He needed people who were smart, adaptable, and brave. The Voraks were about to learn that physical strength wasn't the only kind of strength that mattered. Alien warriors laughed at human legends, then saw the truth. Part 2. Captain John Carter looked at the 4 people standing in front of him. After reading all the files, these were the ones he had picked to go with him to the alien ship. First was Dr. Kate Ellis, the ship's top scientist. She was short with curly red hair and quick eyes that missed nothing. Kate knew more about space, physics, and alien life than anyone else on the ship. Next to her stood Ben Wong, the head of security. Ben was strong, but not the biggest man on the ship. What made him special was his calm mind and quick thinking, in danger. Third was Jack Nelson, a young engineer who could fix almost anything. Jack had grown up poor on a farm and learned to make broken things work with whatever he had. Last was Zoe Clark, the ship's doctor. Zoe was kind and patient, but she was also tough. She had worked in war zones on Earth before joining the space program. You've all volunteered for a dangerous mission, John said. The Voraks think humans are weak. They want to test us against their warriors. This isn't just about being strong. It's about showing them who we really are. What kind of tests do you think they'll have? Jack asked. John shook his head. We don't know, but the Voraks value physical strength above all else. Kate smiled. Then they're in for a surprise. Humans didn't get to space by being the strongest species on Earth. Exactly, John agreed. We got here by working together and thinking our way through problems. A message came through from the bridge. Captain, the Voraks are ready. They've sent a small ship to pick up your team. We're ready, John said. He looked at his team. Remember who we are and why we're here. The 5 humans waited in the loading bay as the alien shuttle connected to their ship. When the doors opened, 3 tall Voraks warriors stood there. They wore black armor that showed off their 4 strong arms. Their yellow eyes looked at the humans with what seemed like amusement. These are your champions? One Voraks asked. They are smaller than we expected. John stepped forward. I am Captain John Carter. We accept your challenge. The ride to the Voraks ship was quiet. The human team looked out the windows at the massive alien vessel growing larger. It was at least 3 miles long with sharp edges that reminded John of a weapon. When they arrived, a large group of Voraks warriors waited for them. At the front stood War Chief Grutak, even bigger than the others. His shell was marked with red lines that might have been scars or maybe decorations. Welcome to the Blade of Truth, Grutak said. Our testing ground. He led them to a huge room. Hundreds of Voraks watched from seats around the edges. In the center was an open space with different equipment and obstacles. 5 tests, Grutak explained. Strength, speed, endurance, combat, and a final challenge that will remain secret until the end. Each human will face 1 Vorax warrior in each test. And what happens if we win? John asked. Grutak made the rock metal laugh sound. If you win any test, I will be surprised. But if you do, we will consider humans worthy of respect and perhaps even friendship. And if we lose, Zoe asked, then you leave our space and never return. Your weakness will be proven. The first test was strength. The Vorax brought out heavy metal objects that looked like weights. The alien warrior picked up one that must have weighed at least 500 pounds and held it over his head easily. Ben went, first for the humans. He was their strongest, but the weight was too much. He could barely lift it off the ground. The Vorax crowd made sounds of amusement. As expected, Grutak said. Your bodies are weak. John wanted to argue, but what could he say? It was true. Humans couldn't match Vorax strength. The second test was speed. The aliens set up a race course around the room with obstacles. Jack went for this test. The Vorax runner was fast, its 4 legs covering ground quickly. Jack lost by several seconds. 2 tests, 2 failures, Grutak announced. The pattern is clear. The third test was endurance. Kate stepped up for this one. The challenge was to hold a painful position while wearing weights. The Vorax warrior seemed like he could stay that way forever. Kate tried her best but had to give up after 20 minutes. The Vorax were openly laughing now. Their yellow eyes showed no respect, only confirmation of what they already believed. 3 tests, 3 failures, Grutak said. Perhaps we should stop now and save you further shame. We finish what we started, John replied firmly. The 4th test was combat. This worried John the most. Zoe stepped forward as their representative. She had training in martial arts, but against a 4-armed alien with a natural armor shell. To everyone's surprise, the combat area filled with water up to chest height. We know humans come from a water planet, Grutak explained. Let's see if that gives you any advantage. The Vorax warrior moved slowly in the water. Its heavy body and armor made it clumsy. Zoe, however, swam like a fish. She easily stayed away from the warrior's 4 arms, moving under the water and coming up behind it. The Vorax crowd grew quiet as Zoe used the water and the alien's weight against it. She couldn't hit hard enough to hurt it, but she could push it off balance. Finally, the alien fell backward and couldn't get up quickly in the deep water. A point for the humans, Grutak admitted, not sounding happy. Clever use of the environment. The 5th and final test was for John. He stepped forward, ready for anything. The final test is simple, Grutak said. Knowledge. A large screen appeared. On it were images from Earth, buildings, machines, art. We have studied your world, Grutak said. Now explain to us how your kind built these things when you are so weak. Explain your legends that speak of impossible acts. Explain how you reach the stars when you can barely lift your own weight. John looked at the images and then at his team. Suddenly he understood what this final test really was. The Vorax didn't just want to prove humans were physically weak. They wanted to understand how humans had accomplished so much despite that weakness. I'll tell you, John said, but first let me show you. Alien warriors laughed at human legends, then saw the truth. Part 3. John walked to the middle of the room and looked at the images on the big screen. They showed the Great Wall of China, the pyramids of Egypt, huge ships, tall buildings, and space rockets. You ask how we built these things when we are weak, John said. The answer is simple but hard to understand if your people only value strength. Grutak crossed his forearms. Explain. John pointed to his team. Look at us. 5 humans, all different, each with different skills. Alone, none of us could build these things you see. But together? Together, humans can do almost anything. Working together is not special, Grutak said. Our warriors fight as one in battle. It's more than just fighting together, John said. Kate, tell them about the pyramids. Kate stepped forward. The Great Pyramid was built over 4,500 years ago. It has over 2 million stone blocks, Each block weighs more than a Vorax warrior. No human could lift one alone, but humans didn't try to. They used their minds to solve the problem. She used her hands to show how it worked. They cut the stones with simple tools. They built ramps. They used water to move the stones more easily. Thousands of humans worked together for many years. Each person did a small job, but together they built something that has lasted thousands of years. The Vorax were quiet now, watching and listening. Jack spoke next. When we need to do something we can't do with our bodies, we build tools and machines. My great-grandfather couldn't fly. No human can fly naturally, but he helped build airplanes that could fly faster than sound. Ben added, "We pass our knowledge down through generations. Each new group of humans learns what the last group knew, then adds more knowledge. We don't have to start over each time." Grutak looked at the images again. "But what about your legends? The stories of humans doing impossible things?" "Our legends aren't lies," Zoe explained. "They're dreams. They show what we wish we could do. They inspire us to try harder, to find ways around our limits." John nodded. "Let me show you how this works." He turned to his team. "We need to build something right now. Something that will show the Vorax what humans can do together." "What did you have in mind?" Kate asked. John looked around the room. "A bridge." He pointed to a gap between two high platforms on opposite sides of the room. "We need to cross that gap." "It's at least 30 feet across," Jack said, studying the distance. "And we have almost nothing to work with," Ben added. "Exactly," John said. "This is what humans do best. We solve problems with what we have." The Vorax watched with interest as the humans talked quickly among themselves. Kate did some quick math on the floor using a small piece of metal to scratch numbers and diagrams. Jack looked at everything in the room, checking what might be useful. Zoe and Ben tested the strength of different materials. "We need something strong for the main supports," Jack said. Ben looked at the combat area where Zoe had won her match. "The water barriers, they're made of a strong light material." "Good," John said. "Kate, will they be strong enough?" Kate nodded. "If we use 3 of them together, yes." "The Vorax might not let us take their equipment," Zoe warned. John turned to Grutak. "We need to borrow some things for our demonstration. Is that allowed?" Grutak seemed curious now. "Take what you need. This interests me." The humans worked quickly. They took the water barriers and laid them side by side. Jack found some metal clamps used to hold training equipment and used them to bind the barriers together. Kate directed where each piece should go based on her calculations. Ben found some strong cord used in one of the tests and wove it through the structure to add strength. Zoe tested each connection, making sure it would hold weight. Grutak and the other Vorax warriors watched in silence. They had never seen beings work this way before. The humans weren't using strength. They were using their minds and their hands in careful, precise ways. "It's ready," John announced after 30 minutes. The humans had built a light but strong bridge. Now we need to put it in place. This was the hardest part. The bridge was too heavy for one human to lift, but all 5, working together, could move it. Slowly, carefully, they carried it to the gap and set it in place. The ends rested on each platform, spanning the open space between. "Will it hold?" Grutak asked, sounding doubtful. "Only one way to find out," John said. He stepped onto the bridge. First, it held firm. He walked to the middle and stopped. "See? Not very impressive for one human to walk across a bridge, but 5 humans working together built something that lets us do what we could never do alone." One by one, the other humans joined John on the bridge. It creaked a little but held all 5 of them. "This is a small example," John said to the watching Vorax. "But this is how we built everything you saw in those images. This is how we reached space, not with the strength of our bodies, but with the strength of many minds working together over many years." Grutak stepped closer to the bridge. He reached out one of his 4 hands and touched it, testing its strength. "Interesting," he said finally. "You use your weakness as a strength. Because you cannot do things alone, you learn to work together in ways we never needed to." "That's part of it," John agreed. But there's more. Our legends, the stories you called lies, they're not about what we can do now. They're about what we hope to do someday. John walked to the end of the bridge and back to Grutak. Thousands of years ago, humans told stories about flying to the moon. It was impossible then. But the dream stayed with us. We kept working, generation after generation. And finally we did it. We turned the impossible into reality. Grutak was silent for a long moment. Then he turned to the other Vorax. I think we have much to learn from these humans. He looked back at John. Perhaps your weakness is not what we thought. Perhaps what we saw as lies were simply possibilities you had not yet reached. That's exactly right, John said. Our legends aren't about what humans can do alone. They're about what we can do together over time with enough hard work and imagination. Grutak made a new sound, different from his laugh. It was softer. Then I must reconsider our judgment of your species. You have passed the final test in a way I did not expect. Alien warriors laughed at human legends, then saw the truth. Part 4. The next day, Grutak invited John and his team to a large room near the top of the Vorax ship. The walls were clear, showing the stars all around them. Earth's explorer looked small in the distance. This is our Hall of Knowledge, Grutak explained. Here we keep the history of the Vorax people. The humans looked around with interest. The room had many screens showing images of Vorax history. There were also strange objects and cases that might have been important to Vorax culture. Your bridge demonstration has caused much talk among my people, Grutak said. Some of our thinkers have been up all night watching recordings of how you worked together. What did they think? Kate asked. They were surprised, Grutak admitted. We Vorax have always believed that strength is the most important quality for any species. It is how we survived on our home world. It is how we built our empire. But now you wonder if there are other ways to be strong, John said. Yes. Grutak waved one of his forearms and new images appeared on the screens. They showed Earth history, humans building things, working together, teaching each other. We had these records but did not understand their importance, Grutak said. We saw humans working in groups and thought it was because you were too weak to work alone. We did not see that this was a choice, a different way of solving problems. Zoe walked to one of the screens. It showed humans teaching children in a school. This is one of our greatest strengths, she said. We pass knowledge from one generation to the next. Each new group of humans doesn't have to start from the beginning. Vorax young learn by doing, Grutak said. The strong survive and become warriors. The weak do not. Everyone has different strengths, Ben said. On our ship, everyone has a job that matches what they're good at. I'm strong for a human, so I work in security. Kate is very smart, so she works in science. Together, we're better than any of us would be alone. Grutak seemed to be thinking deeply about this. Our strongest warriors lead. That is our way. But perhaps there is wisdom in your way, too. An older Vorax entered the room. This one's shell was a lighter color, and he moved more slowly than the warriors. Grutak showed respect when this Vorax approached. This is Elder Krav, Grutak said. He is our oldest living warrior and a keeper of knowledge. Krav looked at the humans with eyes that seemed wiser than the other Vorax. I have been watching your demonstration and listening to your words, he said in a voice that sounded like quiet thunder. They remind me of old stories from our own past. This caught everyone by surprise. What stories, Elder? Grutak asked. Kravi moved to a screen and touched it with one hand. The image changed to show an ancient Vorax drawing. It showed many Vorax working together to build what looked like a city. Before we became warriors, when our world was still young, our people worked together like the humans do, Krav said. It was many thousands of years ago when our shells were not yet as hard and our strength not yet as great. I've never seen this record, Grutak said, sounding surprised. It is not taught to warriors, Krav explained. Only to knowledge keepers. As we grew stronger as a species, we forgot these old ways. We began to value only individual strength. John looked at the ancient image with interest. So your people once built things together like humans do? Yes, Krav said. And we had our own legends, stories of what we hoped to become. Many came true as our bodies grew stronger over many generations. But perhaps we lost something important when we forgot how to work together in this way. Kate was studying another screen that showed Vorax science and technology. Your technology is very advanced, but it all seems focused on weapons and armor. Have you explored space much beyond your own system? Grutak and Krav looked at each other. No, Grutak admitted. We have claimed the worlds around our home star, but traveling further has not been our priority. Yet you found Earth, Ben pointed out. We detected your broadcasts by accident, Krav explained. Our listening posts heard signals from your world. We were curious about what kind of beings could make such noise in space. Jack had been quiet, looking at the Vorax technology displayed around the room. Now he spoke up. Your engines are powerful, but they could be better. With a few changes, this ship could travel twice as fast. Grutak seemed offended at first. Our ships are the strongest in known space. I'm sure they are, Jack said quickly. But strength isn't everything. Efficiency matters too. I could show your engineers some ideas. John watched this exchange with hope. This was what humans did best. Share ideas, learn from each other, build on what came before. Perhaps, John said carefully, Vorax and humans could learn from each other. You are stronger than us in body. But we might have other strengths that could help you. And your strength could help us, Zoe added. There are many dangers in space that human bodies struggle with, like radiation and high gravity. Elder Krav's eyes seemed to glow with a new light. In the most ancient legends of our people, there is a saying, the strongest warrior knows when to fight and when to learn. Grutak stood still for a long moment. The other Vorax in the room watched him. Finally, he made a decision. Captain Carter, I propose an exchange of knowledge between our peoples. We will share our strength and you will share your creativity. John smiled. We would be honored. That's why we came to space, to meet new people and learn from them. There is much we could accomplish together, Krav said. Your ways and our ways combined. Grutak nodded. I will speak with my commanders. We should arrange formal meetings between your leaders and ours. I'll contact Earth right away, John said. They'll be very excited. As the humans and Vorax continued talking, the screens around them showed images of both species' histories. On one side, Vorax warriors standing alone in victory. On the other, humans working together to build wonders. Two different paths that had led to the stars. Two different kinds of strength that might now come together. Our legends told us we would meet others among the stars, Elder Krav said quietly to John. Perhaps that legend, like yours, has now become truth. Alien warriors laughed at human legends, then saw the truth. Part 5. 1 year had passed since the first meeting between humans and Vorax. The explorer had returned to Earth with the amazing news about the alien species. Now, a new ship called the Unity floated in space near the edge of Vorax territory. It was special because both humans and Vorax had built it together. John Carter stood on the bridge of the Unity and looked at his crew. Some were human, and some were Vorax. They worked, side by side, each doing what they did best. Captain, we're ready to start the jump test, said Kate Ellis from her science station. Next to her stood a Vorax named Tark, who was learning human science methods. Good, John said. Let's make history. The Unity was the first ship ever built with both human and Vorax technology. It had the strong engines and armor of Vorax ships, but it also had the clever computers and life support systems that humans were good at making. Together they had created something better than either species could make alone. Grutak entered the bridge. He was now the official Vorax ambassador to Earth. Are we ready for the test, Captain Carter? Yes, Ambassador. We're about to try the new jump drive. This was the most exciting part of their work together. Humans had learned how to make jump drives that could move ships quickly through space, but they were not very strong. and could only move small ships. The Vorax had strong engines but no jump technology. Together they had built something new, a jump drive that could move a big ship. All systems ready, Jack Nelson reported from engineering. He worked with 3 Vorax engineers who respected his ideas even though he wasn't as strong as they were. 5 minutes to jump, Kate announced. John looked at the screen showing their destination. If this worked, they would travel farther in one jump than any human or Vorax ship had ever gone before. They would reach a star that neither species had visited yet. 2 minutes, Kate said. Grutak stood next to John. A year ago, I thought humans were weak creatures who told lies about their abilities, he said quietly. Now we stand together to do something neither of our peoples could do alone. That's the true power of cooperation, John replied. We're stronger together than apart. 1 minute, Kate called. Everyone on the bridge, human and Vorax alike, fell silent. This was the moment that would show if their work together had succeeded. Jump in 10 seconds, Kate counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, jump. The stars on the screen blurred. The ship hummed with power. John felt a strange pulling feeling as the Unity slipped between the normal places in space. Then suddenly the stars were clear again, but they were different stars. Jump complete, Kate reported, checking her instruments. We did it. We're exactly where we wanted to go. The bridge erupted in cheers. Humans hugged each other. Vorax made their happy clicking sounds. Some humans and Vorax even tried to hug each other, which looked funny because the Vorax were so much taller. The first successful long-range jump with a large ship, John said, smiling at Grutak. We made history today. Indeed, Grutak agreed. And look. He pointed to the main screen where a beautiful blue-green planet now showed clearly. Our sensors show this world could support both human and Vorax life. This was even better than they had hoped. The star system they jumped to had a planet that both species might be able to live on someday. Elder Krav, who had come on this historic journey, stepped onto the bridge. He looked at the planet on the screen, then at the mixed crew of humans and Vorax working together. In my long life, Krav said, I never thought to see such a thing. 2 different peoples from different stars working as one. It's what humans have always done, Zoe explained. We find strength in our differences. Different skills, different ideas all working together make us better. And now Vorax are learning this wisdom too, Krav said. We had forgotten it long ago. Over the next few days, the Unity moved closer to the new planet. They sent small ships down to study it. The planet had fresh water, plants, and good air to breathe. It was perfect for a colony of both humans and Vorax. On the 5th day, a special ceremony was held. A small team, including John, Kate, Jack, Zoe, Ben, Grutak, and Krav, traveled down to the surface of the planet. They stood together on a grassy hill overlooking a beautiful valley. This place needs a name, John said, looking at the others. In Vorax tradition, new worlds are named after great victories, Grutak said. But this was not won in battle. No, John agreed. This was won through friendship and working together. Elder Krav stepped forward. I propose we name it Legend. Everyone looked at him in surprise. Why that name? Kate asked. Because, Krav explained, both our peoples had legends about what we could become. Humans had legends about reaching the stars and finding friends there. Vorax had ancient legends about finding wisdom among the stars. Today, both legends have become truth. John smiled. I like it. Planet Legend it is. They placed a marker on the hillside with the name written in both human and Vorax languages. Below the name, they added these words. Here stand 2 peoples who once thought they had nothing in common. Now we build a future together. As they returned to the Unity, John thought about how strange life could be. Just 1 year ago, the Vorax had laughed at human legends and thought humans were weak. Now they understood that there were many kinds of strength. The strength of body that Vorax had, the strength of minds working together that humans had, and the new strength they had found by combining both. The Unity rose from Planet Legend and moved into orbit. Inside, humans and Vorax worked together, making plans for the future. Their legends had led them here, and now they would write new legends together, stories not of what one species could do alone, but of what they could accomplish together. And these legends would be true from the very beginning.